Unfortunately, I'm going to start the show off on a sad note. Obviously, the news: Jim Fassel, former Giants head coach, had a heart attack and passed away. I just wanted to point that out because obviously you knew him, and I want your thoughts on him in a minute. But I know him in a different way. So I had moved to Denver, and I was working in Denver, and I came across a guy. His name's John Matheson. And he was the general manager, and I believe it was of a Nissan car dealership. And I was sitting in his office. I was a consultant, and I was doing sales training and consulting, digital marketing, etc. And I was sitting in his office, and we were talking. And you know, in sales, you look around the person's office, you try to see things that you can kind of relate to. And up along on top of his bookshelf, were all these pictures of Giants, like in game, on the field, and him with his arm around Jim Fassel. And I said, oh, it's interesting to find such a huge Giants fan in Denver.
Right.
And he didn't say anything that day. But as I got to know him, some time had passed, and I was sitting in his office again, maybe a couple months later, and we became kind of friendly. And he said, you asked me about why I have so many pictures of Jim Fassel and the Giants there. And he goes, and I didn't tell you because it's not something I, just kind of throw out to people. But, I've known you. You seem like a pretty good guy. I feel like I'm comfortable with you. And I said, okay. He said, that's my dad. And I kind of looked at him with this weird look. And I said, John Matheson, how are you? And so he said, yeah, he had, he and his wife had a child, I believe in college. And after a couple of years, they realized, listen, we're too young. And they put him up for adoption. And years later, found him, they reconnected and, explained to him the reasons behind all of the stuff. And they were able to really build a relationship. And I got to, kind of learn about John and Jim, through that experience. They became very close. And so I haven't talked to John in, I want to say years, because obviously I've moved out of Denver. Life, unfortunately, sometimes, separates people. And when I read the news about Jim, the first line was, his son, John Matheson, informed us or confirmed. Actually, I think it just said John. I don't even think it said his last name, that he had a heart attack and he had passed. And it immediately got me thinking about, oh man, like, staying in touch with people, right? Because I immediately thought, oh man, like I feel terrible that I'm not still in touch to, give my condolences and those types of things, because we had become pretty close. And, you know how it is, Coach. You meet so many people throughout the years, and it's something like that. There's like, wow, I haven't even thought about him for a couple of years, and my thoughts were really with him today, especially, right? So, did you know Coach very well?
Yeah,
or?
I know him. I know him pretty well. My mother-in-law went to school with him. I interviewed to be his quarterback coach in New York years ago. And then his son was on my staff in Oakland, John Fassel. So I knew the dad, tremendous man, tremendous football coach, very sad. And, that it kind of hits home for me too, because I'm not afraid to share this, because heart attacks are things that happen and sometimes out of your control. I had a heart attack in 2014 myself. And so I had 100% blockage in the widowmaker, and I'm still sitting here today.
Wow.
So I'm here for a reason, and I'm just thankful and grateful for having me stay. And then when I think about somebody like Jim Fassel, who all of a sudden passes of a heart attack, it's like, why him and why not me? You go through those thoughts in your head. And I've had so many coaches who knew him reach out to me today, Al Saunders being one who I'm very close to, who worked for me, who worked for him and worked with him, and they were really good friends. So it's a sad day, but it really puts into focus what life is. There's a beginning and there's an end. and nobody knows how it's going to end, but there will be an end. And I think we all have to understand it.
It's my dad had a heart attack. He has 2 stints. Actually, he had to have his stints redone this year. And it's always, so to your point, when you have that so close, right? That obviously it's yourself.
Yes.
Me, it's my dad. It reminds you, right? You sometimes get caught up with so much going on in the world. It's easy sometimes to forget what's closest to you. So, so obviously our thoughts, our prayers, our condolences goes out to the Fassel family. Someone who's close to you, another person who's close to you, has been in the news this week. I joked around with some friends today, and I said I was going to refer to him as Chad 85 because I don't speak Spanish, and I think that's the literal translation. I was like, I don't know how he's going to take that, but I'm going to pass it on to you first and see what he says. He was in a bit of a boxing match this week. Were you there? Were you watching? I forgot to check with you if you actually made it down.
I was there. I was there live and in person. I always support my guys. He's like a son to me. And I was so impressed with what he was doing at 43 years old. I used to go watch Chad train boxing when he was playing football. It was one of the ways he stayed in shape. So I wasn't surprised that he had some of the skill. I was just surprised that he was willing to get in the ring and with a fighter and do what he did.
Yeah.
And I teased him today and yesterday because everything was going good until all of a sudden he started really feeling himself in the 4th round, took a shot at the guy and drop his hands. And then real fighters, they
don't drop your hands. Yeah.
Yeah. Then down he goes. So but was I impressed? Absolutely. He looked like a boxer because he got quick feet. He has athleticism.
I was going to say he looked, okay, granted he took a shot there right at the end, but for the first part I was watching, I was like, he looks good. And he looks just as quick as ever. Like I was really, it's one thing to train. It's another thing to get in there and have someone throw him back at you.
Absolutely. And so I think it whetted his appetite. Chad is one of those people that he's going to do the impossible. That's just who he is. This guy's raced a horse, ride a bull. That's just Chad. He's not afraid. He's really about those things. And so I'm impressed with him. I think he handled himself the right way. I think he did it all right. A lot of people think it's a money grab, but for him, maybe it is money, but I also know with him, it's also, that's who he is. He likes the challenge and the thrill of doing different things. And so God bless him.
Yeah, no. Hey, listen, money's great, but you could tell that he's passionate about it too. Like I think it was that episode of I Am Athlete when he was talking about it. And you can tell when someone's, I could tell when someone's just about the money, and then there's a part where it's like, no, this he really wants to do this.
Absolutely.
I feel he has confidence in no matter what he does, but there was another match there, and the Mayweather Paul portion of it. I have a question because you were there, because I only get to see video. You were there.
Mm-hmm.
Did Paul get knocked out there when he takes a hit and he falls into Mayweather's arm and it looks like Mayweather's kind of holding him up? Did he get knocked out, or did he just kind of lose his balance?
No, he was ready to go down. And I think Floyd saved it.
Yeah.
I think Floyd's smart. Floyd,
especially when it comes to making money. Speaking of money, he's very smart.
Yeah, if I knock this guy out, there's not going to be many people saying, let me go fight Floyd.
Right.
When I need another, 30, 40, 50, $80 million payday, somebody say, well, I can beat Floyd. I need to go the distance with this thing and have it look right so I can get more people that want to do this.
Yeah.
Can I put another $500 million in my bank account over the next year? He can. And if anybody can, it's Floyd.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, okay. That I thought it was, but like I said, it's tough because I got a couple of camera angles, but when you're there, that's what I figured. And I said, listen, I don't want to step on Max Kellerman's thing, but hey, if he could talk basketball and football, I could talk some boxing. I know about as much about the what he does, but I won't take a shot at him. So last week we talked about Julio Jones being a good fit in Baltimore, and I still think you're right. I still think that's a good fit for him, but he ended up going to Tennessee.
Yes.
And the Titans, did what they should do, which is make a trade for a wide receiver. You now add another piece to AJ Brown, to Derrick Henry. I want to know your thoughts on the fit there. Now, listen, I get it. Julio fits everywhere. It's going to make Tannehill better. But they're really a run kind of culture. They've got maybe the best power back we've seen since, I don't even know, since Earl Campbell. I don't know who you want to throw out there in Derrick Henry, but do you think they're going to be able to kind of change that philosophy, that kind of culture that's in Tennessee with running the ball? And you're
You know
close
what?
there now, so you could probably
Yeah.
check in.
Oh yeah. You know what, Anthony? I don't think they need to change it. I think they enhanced it because now there's another receiver other than AJ Brown that teams have to be worried about. Derrick Henry just got 2 times better. And so as you stop Derrick Henry, you now open the lanes for AJ Brown and Julio Jones. So I think it's a win-win for the Titans. Would I love to see him go to Baltimore because I know that they need to improve in that area. But boy, the next best team is Tennessee in my mind. And think about it, the head coach of Atlanta just came from Tennessee. So there's some help going on there. Let me get him out of the NFC into the AFC and put him over there. So I think at the end of the day, everybody kind of won, but we'll see. But I think it really helped Tennessee for sure.
So last week we kind of had Colts 1, Titans 2. Does this move change that? Do they flip now?
I still don't think it changed it, but I think it's going to be a race. I do think it's going to be a real race in that division. I think it's going to be interesting to see because how fast can he get up to speed, chemistry with the quarterback system? Because this is going to be different for him. This is not Matt Ryan. This is Tannehill, who's played great, who is also athletic. There's going to be maybe more opportunities for Julio Jones.
Aaron Rodgers didn't show up to his mandatory camp today. Is this a veteran just taking those first few training sessions off? Is it a guy trying to prove a point, or is he gone?
I won't say he's gone, but I think it's definitely a guy sending a message. As your starting quarterback, you don't miss mandatory minicamp. You're fine. That's money you just gave away. Now he makes a ton of money, but at the same time, who wants to give away money like that? And who doesn't want to be around their teammates within an organization that's paying them and an organization that supposedly you have a lot of admiration for? So there's something that's in the works. I still would be surprised if they trade him, but I think it's very clear that he's going to make it hard for him. He's not going to just go away easily and say this is okay.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I think it was $93,000 a week, and I get it. People are like, that's nothing. It's still $93,000.
Me and you like it, right?
I said if they should donate it to these to my charity, which is
That's
me.
right.
Okay, so you think do you think he's the starting quarterback for Green Bay in week 1?
One more time.
I said, if I putting you on the spot, do you think Aaron Rodgers is the starting quarterback for the Packers week 1?
Yes.
I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong.
I don't know why you hope I'm wrong. But I think I think they have work to do on both sides. I think the right conversation with the right people, with the right process, with the right vision will make this go away. I feel he's still the premier quarterback in the league. So
I feel like if they had enough confidence in Jordan Love, it would have been done already. The fact that it isn't done, that's unfortunately that's what I agree with you. So we're staying in the NFC, but I want to move over to the West.
Mm-hmm.
What a division! What a division! I feel like last week we talked about the haves and the have-nots. It's like the haves and the haves and the have some mores.
Absolutely.
I hate to say this, but I've seen Seattle 1, 2, 3, 4. I've seen Arizona 2, 3, 4. I've seen LA 1, 2, 3. And I'm forgetting somebody in the 40. Oh, the 40. Oh, yeah, the 49ers. Yeah, I forgot about the 49ers. I've seen them 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think anyone can agree on this division right now. So I'm just going to I'm just going to throw one out because it's the last one I said. So the 49ers, is Jimmy Garoppolo their starting quarterback? Do they phase in Trey Lance? Do they come up with schemes for him? Do they stay healthy? Right. I guess that's the key. Let's assume they stay healthy because that's what killed them last year. How do you see the 49ers this season?
I think if they're healthy, they are as competitive as any team in that division. They're well coached. I think he is the best offensive coordinator in football. I think if Jimmy Garoppolo plays the way Jimmy Garoppolo can play, I don't think we see Trey Lance play.
Okay.
Will they be a couple things because he is so creative that he might try to have happen with Trey in the scoring zone? Yeah, I mean, every coach does that, but I think it's just that. I don't think it's because he's grooming him to take over the job. I just think it's a chance to showcase the ability of the coordinator to come up with unbelievable schemes. You still look at Seattle with Russ. Have they done enough? You look at the Rams with the new quarterback. Where are they? The team that everybody thinks is going to make the biggest jump is the Cardinals. You get J.J. Watt. Here comes another year with Hopkins. Here comes Kyler Murray again. Or have they solved their running back problem? Are they going to be good enough on defense? They take a young, real good defensive player this year in the draft. I mean, what's this team going to be? But I think it's a make or break time in Arizona because I think they really need to turn the corner this year, or they got to do something different.
It's the Russ thing. It's so. I'm gonna go back to 49ers, and then I'm gonna get to Russ actually. So a lot of us were thinking, there was a lot of talk Jimmy Garoppolo getting traded, obviously to the Patriots, and he's still there. But they still drafted, right? They moved up in the draft and took Trey Lance. Do you think they were working on something that just didn't pan out? So now they're gonna have to not make do. You don't make do with Jimmy Garoppolo, but do you think it's just, hey, they tried it, didn't work, so now they're just gonna figure it out, or do you think they're happy with Jimmy?
I think obviously when you take the quarterback in the first round as high as they took Trey, I think you're positioning yourself to move on from someone. I think they still believe that Jimmy can help them win. He helped them to a Super Bowl, but he hadn't been healthy.
Right.
So how can they count on him? And they're paying him a lot of money. So when you're paying a guy a lot of money, you want to get your value out of him. And if you don't, you got to move on. So right. I think they put themselves in a position that if they moved on, they're not going to suffer a lot. They have a guy that they like who can come in and play the game at a high level. So I just think that's where they are.
So you mentioned Russ. We were hopeful Russ was going to be on the move to the Midwest. Didn't happen. It's okay. It's okay. And you said, did they do enough? So did they do enough on the offensive line? Right? When he comes out and says, I'm running for my life, we all see him running for his life. Do you think are they okay? Do you think he's still going to be running for his life?
I think he still will be running for his life. There was a draft, but there wasn't, a huge impact along the lines. And so it will be before game 5 or 6, because I think first quarter of the season, everybody's going to be finding their way, still with a different type of off season. But game 5 or 6, we're going to know who the Seattle Seahawks are on offense. And if Russell's still running for his life, it's going to be a problem.
Their defense is also a question mark, right? So they're going to have to try to score a lot unless, again, we're going on paper. Who knows what actually happens with scheme and personnel, chemistry, all those other things that you can't measure. Is that defense a concern for you as well in Seattle?
Well, the offense is a concern too, because when I hear coach said we're just going to run it, and they've won a lot of games that way, but are you built to do that? Right? Yeah. And I think that's a concern when your quarterback is, one of the best players in the league, and you're saying, I'm going to take the ball and hand to somebody else who's not Marshawn Lynch, who's not one of the elite running backs in the league. So I just, I think there has to be, and again, I'm not questioning Pete. Pete's had a heck of a career. He's won a lot of games, Super Bowls. But at the same time, you have this unbelievable, talented quarterback that all he's asking for is to be protected and that he feels like he can help you win. Well, I think there's a message there, and you got to listen to it.
Yeah. I don't know where I am, but in terms of the minority or the majority on this, I like Matthew Stafford. I think he's a better quarterback than everyone's kind of given him credit for. Yeah, I think he had a tough time in Detroit. Let's who hasn't. And I'm not picking on the Lions, but do you think we see, like, are you as optimistic about Matthew Stafford in LA as I am, or do you think, hey, we're going to see Matthew Stafford kind of for what he is, and the Rams are going to finish kind of 9 wins kind of team? Is that?
I think we're going to find out who he is, and I only said that for this reason. And I think he's a very talented player, but he never won in Detroit. And the real good ones, they find a way.
Right.
They just do. Tell me the careers like Aaron Rodgers, just a whole different discussion. This guy has played a lot of football, made a lot of money, but hasn't won a lot of games. So somewhere there's something that doesn't transcend the talent. And I think that's going to be the Achilles heel for Rams.
Yeah. At one point, he was the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Yes.
And listen, at some point, you got to live up to your contract and those expectations. I'm not going to bring up this guy. Well, I'm going to bring up his name, but I'm not going to pick on him because he might come after me. But like Kwame Brown, right? Like, you do have to live up to those expectations. There's a reason you either get paid that much or you pick that high. There's a reason.
Yeah.
Someone thinks you're good enough. So I don't think Arizona's ready yet. I think even with the moves that they've done, they still, I think they're still kind of fighting to be that team. Are you higher on them than I am? Like I still have them finishing last in that division. Very close. Don't get me wrong, close. It's not like the 2-win team. Like I think I
think they're going to be they could either be boom or bust this year.
Yeah.
When you got Hopkins, AJ Green, Kyler Murray, runners now. I mean, they have an offense that can be explosive. They have a defense that at times played, really good defensive football. Can they really build on that? I think that's the question in that division where there's some really good teams. They're a good team too. So they were hot last year one time, 5 in a row or something like that. And then all of a sudden things kind of fell apart. So I really believe that's why I said this is a make or break it year for them. They could be either or. I'm counting on them being better than what they were because of the players they put on the team, but we'll see.
Yeah. A lot of stuff. I know you've been busy, working with the team down in TSU, installing the offense and doing that. There's been so much happening in the news, and I'm just going to kind of throw a couple of things at you and just see where we go. So Naomi Osaka, I don't know if you follow tennis, kind of pulled out of an event, and it was she didn't want to talk to the media, was saying, hey, listen, it was about mental health. And I feel like we talk more, which is good, about mental health, and it's more out there, people are more aware, but I still don't think people really understand. And I also feel like, I don't know, maybe we're lacking some compassion, right? An athlete actually comes out and says, I can't do this, I can't have this conversation with the media. And it's almost like, because I'm having these issues, it doesn't matter. You're under contract, whatever it is, you have to talk to the media. And we make such a big deal out of it. And I get it, access and players and fans and I understand why there's the ask, for people to talk to the media. But when they come out and they're that transparent about why they don't want to do it, why don't we just give them their space and let them not, how do you feel? Is it, hey, sorry, it's your responsibility. You're getting paid to do a job. Part of that job is to talk to the media. You need to do it. Or are you on the side of, hey, if you're going through something and you just want to, play, do your job, what you get paid for, and then just leave that other stuff for a short time, not forever, you should be allowed to do that?
Anthony, I think people forget that we're talking about human beings. Regardless of how much money you pay them, regardless of what you see them do, don't see them do, they're human. And they hit a boiling point, or they hit a spot in their life where things just don't add up for them. And I think everybody sometimes has to press the reset button and go back and start again. And I get very disappointed when people say, well, this is your responsibility. I do have a responsibility to myself too, because if my health is not good, I'm not going to be able to accumulate wealth. If I'm not able to give you the best version of me, I'm cheating you anyway. So, and people, you said it. I mean, the mental health side, people don't really pay a big attention to. It's like it's brushed over so fast. It shouldn't matter. But there's no way should we put any man, woman, child in a situation to where when they're not at their best and feeling disconnected or feeling that there's some issues that they're dealing with, should we thrust them into the limelight and expect more from them than what they can give? I just don't agree with that.
Before we started recording, I told you I was struggling a little bit. And that's, that's why I wanted to bring up the mental health thing. But also the reason I've been struggling is there's been some stories and they're closer to home because they're here in Canada. One is in the town that my brother lives in that just happened a couple of days ago. And it leads to a bigger topic that I want to talk about. But first, I just feel like I have to put it out there because I think transparency. This is something that I don't know if you've seen this story. There's two stories I'm going to bring up. One was they found the remains of 215 indigenous children buried, unnamed graves that were abused and murdered by by a school that was run by the Catholic Church, and they covered it up. And the police covered it up, and the government's covered it up, and it came out, and it's kind of like I don't feel like we've made a big enough deal about it. Some people are talking about it, but not enough. And it's not the only first time. I'm sure it's not the only time. It's, we just happened to find this particular one. And it really, it really, as you say, it bothered me. It really, and then the next story, unrelated, however, in my brother's hometown, like I said, a 20-year-old white kid made a plan, got into his car, and ran down a Muslim family of 5 just because they were Muslim. He planned it out and did it. All of them except for their 9-year-old son. The 9-year-old son was the only one that survived. So now he is without anyone. And the reason why I was so emotional when we started recording was there's a vigil for them and a bunch of people were speaking and they were talking about the family and the story. And I came from watching that here. And it's like down the street from where my brother lives. And the reason why I bring that stuff to the table here is one of the things we talk about is racism. And there's no other motivation, right? Even with the Catholic Church, it was they saw indigenous people as lesser than them. This kid who got in his car, regardless of what he read and saw, why he, purposely targeted this Muslim family, it was about race. And we talk about race in very kind of, I feel like, small little pinholes of, when we talked about, we talked about George Floyd and we talk about things, but it is a global problem. Absolutely. It's not just, listen, I get it. We talk about certain things, and when certain things are in the news, we talk about them. It is a global problem that affects everyone. And so that's why I probably was a little ambiguous when I just wrote you a note. I want to talk about what is racism, because I feel like too many people are changing the narrative, are changing the meaning to be just suited to them. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I get it. You deal with what affects you in your life. I get it. That's human nature. So when I wrote to you and I said, what is racism? So before hearing all that stuff, what was the first thing that kind of popped into your mind?
That people still don't see the Black race as equal. That Blacks are always fighting for equality and opportunity, that they're not on the same level, that we don't have the same value as our Caucasian brothers, and that racism is alive and well. And I knew it had to be something that touched you for you to put that in there. And now I get it, to hear about these kids, to hear about another family being mowed down by a driver who plans this. What are we doing? It's like you hear all the different stories. We just witnessed some of the toughest times in our lives. And you would think that things would change. The more we think they change, the more they stay the same. Because, like I said, we talk about it for a moment and we sweep it and it's gone until something catastrophic happens. And then we want to talk about it again, but we don't go fix it. And I think because nobody can have those real conversations about what's going on. And it's scary to me just to hear those things, because where else are their kids buried that we don't know about? It could be a lot of different places. Who's gonna be the next family that gets moved out? And it's frightening. It truly is.
I'm gonna try to keep it together. We talk about it, and I feel like you and I talk about it. We bring on people, we talk about it. I post it out there, and I'm telling you, for everyone, when I post stuff out there, for every one person who goes, "Hey, you know what?" I get anything from "You're one woke brother," like, which is good. Hey, it's good, whatever. But then I get the opposite too. I get the and I'm not even gonna dignify them by saying what they say. But I feel like the more we're talking about it, the further we're going. And you and I talked a couple months ago. Well, how do we come together, and what does coming together mean, and what's that middle? And I feel like we're further apart today than we were yesterday. And I know this is a very, very, very nerdy thing that I'm going to say. Okay, I get it. But listen, as much as I am an athlete and into sports, I'm also into Star Trek too. So if an alien came down to take over our Earth, do you think they would care the color of your skin? Do you think they would care about your religion? Or would they say, hey, I need to kill the human race and take over this planet because it's nice and green and there's a lot of water. They're polluting it, but I can clean that up. That's what they would do. They wouldn't say, oh, Hugh, I'm going to kill you because you're black. And Tony, come on, Anthony, Tony, whatever. You're good. Or maybe I'm too dark. Maybe you need to be. Maybe my eyes are too dark. They're not going to do that, and that's the part that drives me crazy, as you can tell. So I'm sorry, wherever the camera is. Right? Okay. It drives me nuts because no one else would care. We've created a system and a way of thinking that people now care about it when they shouldn't. I see you as Coach Hugh Jackson. I am proud to say my friend Hugh Jackson. I don't say blackhead Coach Hugh Jackson.
No, you never.
Jackson. Never.
And it's sad that that's where we are. And you just said it, the system, Anthony, is broken. It's been broken. And we shove everything aside. Because at the end of the day, I still think everything's about money, clicks, bait clicks on TV, whatever all that is. And it's not for the human race. Humanity really doesn't stand for what it should stand for. And it's just so sad. And people are influenced by other things other than family, friends, faith, whatever all those other things are. And we're just in a bad place.
Is there hope?
I've said to you probably 2 months ago, I don't see it in this lifetime. Because the system has been the system, and to reconfigure it would take a lot of pain, a lot of go through. And I think it's too expensive for people to go through. I'm not talking about financially, I'm talking about emotionally, physically, mentally. They just won't do it. I don't want to do that. And people will not get involved unless it's them, unless it affects somebody who's in their family or something like that. That's when people get invested. But people don't get that if you don't stop it, it could be your family. They don't think about it the right way. You could be next in line. You don't know. And that's what the problem is.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I now that I'm a dad, right? I see stories and I think, how can you look at that and be like, that's okay, right? As long as it's not me, it's okay. As long as it's not, like you said, right? As long as it's not my family, it's okay. But guess what? Guess what happens, right? Like I'm not, please don't anyone think that I'm saying this as it should have. That family, that 9-year-old boy who now just lost his whole family due to a hate crime, due to a racist kid. Kid was 20. He was 20. He didn't know life yet. Let's be honest. Now his life's gone too, by the way, as it should be. But that 9-year-old, guess what? If he grows up to be an angry, right, an angry kid who then lashes out, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not going to be surprised.
But you wouldn't be surprised.
Right? I'm not going to be surprised because he's going to have years of anger, and who's he going to blame? He's not going to blame that one person as he should, right? He's gonna now grow up and listen. The wrong person gets into his ear and says, "See how white people are? They're out to get you, right? They're out to get you." Yeah. So now what does he do? He gets into a car and he drives over a white family. And well, guess what? We created this vicious cycle, and then we're gonna say, "Oh, these people." No, we created the cycle.
We talked about before. If you don't give those people who need the help the resources from a mental health standpoint, you're bound to repeat the problem. It's gonna keep going, and I don't think we do enough in understanding how do we keep this young man together. Like you said, just take this example. He's 9 years old. This is what he saw. He lost his whole family. What is this kid gonna go through? Oh, we're just getting counseling. It's deeper than that. It's deeper because you can't bring back his family. But who's gonna love him? Who's gonna be there for him? Who's gonna be there in the bad times, the good times, whatever all those things are? Because he just watched his family perish through racism. That's a problem.
I try not to get emotional, Coach. So I just, like I said, I tried to hold it together as best I could this week, but
and you have.
There's just this it's too much. It's too much, and it's just you know how I feel. And it's just I felt like maybe this is my therapy session. This is my therapy session, Coach. If I get to vent to you, I feel better.
I respect you so much because of your transparency, your passion for people, your passion for truth and justice. And you try to do what's right. And to me, those are the people that the pain you feel, the what's coming out of you, what I see in you, that's real. And that's what people don't understand. If you don't have that kind of emotion about what's going on in this world, you are not in the world. You're kind of lost, and you are not trying to see what's going on. I don't get a chance right now like I used to see everything that's happening because of work. And there's a part of me that is happy because there's so many that I remember picking up my phone and looking at US Mail online and seeing what's going on and going, oh my gosh, this happened here, this happened there. And it's what you said. I start worrying about my kids. I'm going to school, going to the store, driving somewhere. You get afraid, really. But I know I can't just hover over them for everything because that's not life. But at the same time, you want the best for them. But it puts things in your mind when you see all this that's going on. Because you actually, how do you fix it? Well, love. Oh, well, what kind of love? What are we talking about here? Well, let's talk. Talk about what? How are we going to fix this by talking? Who's going to give us real solutions in real time when these things happen? Where are the resources when these things happen? What's going to happen to this kid? Somebody else is going to have to go out on the limb. If he doesn't go to a foster home, some family member is going to say, we're going to take him in and we're going to raise him as ours. I don't mean that happens the right way. There's mistakes that happen there too. So it's difficult. It's so difficult.
And the sad part is, right, he's one of too many. Right? He's one of too many. And we don't even hear, let's be honest, we don't even hear 95% of the stories and the things that happen. And that's why it's like, when we talk about stuff and someone will say, well, how come you're so angry about this? And I'm like, because the one story. When you look up that one story, you find the other 99 stories and you go, oh, right. Oh, maybe that. And then you look back and you're like, yeah, and it's not just 1 year. It's been, 100, 200, 300.
That's the thing that gets me is the people that say, oh, because instead of them digging and finding out, now wait a minute, there's got to be more than this. They don't. They just take it for what it is. Well, that was way over here. It wasn't really that. But then you look at it was something that happened around the corner about 3 weeks ago. Then you go, oh my gosh, I just didn't know.
Look, I'm not blaming anyone for this, but listen, if you don't look, you won't find. And it's easy. Listen, sometimes, Coach, I know you. I don't know if you agree with this. There are sometimes where like, I wish I just didn't know. I wish I didn't swallow. I forget which pill it was, the blue or the red pill, but I wish I just didn't, and I stayed in the Matrix, and I had my big juicy steak, and everything was great. Right? Sometimes it's like, that. But if you remember the first one, right, where the guy, I hope you saw, where he's like, I want back in. Just give me this medium rare steak. It's delicious. I don't care, right, that I'm living in a pod. I'm happy. I get it. Sometimes, yeah, I'd like to curl
up. And I think that's why people do what they do. They stay in their own world because they don't want to deal with the hurt. They don't want to deal with what it brings on them, and they go, well, it's not my fight. It is your fight. It's our human race fight. Are you going to sit by? I watched something the other day on US Mail that just irritated me. It happened in New York. An Asian lady was walking down the street, and this guy just punched her, and she fell sitting up against a little kind of plank, and there behind her sat 2 guys that didn't move. I'm saying to myself, I can't watch that. And you feel no compassion for this lady to go help. And then I see some other people come in later, but within these guys watched this, and I watched the guy that was sitting there. He just kind of put his head down like nothing happened. I was floored. How do you do that? How do you watch somebody hit somebody like that and say it's okay? I never been so frustrated in my life. Because it's wrong. There's a right and there's a wrong. That was wrong. I'm not for what's wrong. I'm for what's right, but I'm not going to be for what's wrong. And if that's okay with you, whoever sat there and just watched that, they should go to jail too, Michael.
I the second you started saying it, I don't know if you saw my eyes bulged out because I saw that, and I just thought, you know what? Just think if that was your mom, if someone just did that to your mom or I forget how old she was, but if that was your mother, if that was your grandmother, and someone just for no reason other than, let's be honest, the color of her skin,
absolutely,
would you just sit there? Would you? Because that was somebody's mom. It was somebody's mom.
And how about the guy on the plane that tried to get into the cockpit? I mean, there's like you said, there's so many things going on. Luckily, the flight attendant died. He made it happen along with some pat. But think about what that could have led to. I mean, it's just so many things, and so it makes you so leery. I traveled to Miami. I was concerned because I'm remembering this stuff. This stuff is happening, and you can't say it won't happen to you because it will happen to you. You just don't know when it's going to happen.
Oh man, I just, I guess I'll end it with that, right? If you're not realizing by now that we're the human race, right? I don't know if you've been watching, right? I don't know if is it the CIA or the FBI has been showing you those UFOs? They're there.
They are there.
They're there. I don't know. I hate to be that guy.
I don't see it. So what do you mean it's there? I don't see it. It's there.
It's there.
And it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
And trust me, there's people that know why it's there, but they're not telling everybody.
Figure it out, people. Coach. I don't even know how to end other than I'll let you tell us about if it's TSU, if it's what's going on this week, if it's Grand Leyenda, if it's Voyager, and just anything you want. Just get me out, because both of us, one of our favorite, we both watch I Am Athlete. I know.
Yes.
Right. If we were doing our check-ins, I'd be like, good news is my health. I'm down from that 45-second 40. My health is good. My family's good. Business is good. Yes. My mental health is a 2. My mental health, people probably could see this week I'm crazy. So I'm going to let you just tell us something to take us home.
Well, let me say this. I had a very exciting time in Miami. Met some unbelievable people. Obviously got a chance to spend some time with Stephen Ehrlich from Voyager. Got a chance to spend some quality time with some people who I even got a chance to be around Rob Gronkowski and talk to him about some things. You know, it was great. And had just a unbelievable time with Jim Jackson, former NBA player.
Yeah,
Uh,
Dallas Mavericks.
Oh yeah, who's a
I know
real
Jim
good fan
Jackson.
of Eddie George. Really love him, you know, and I thought I was around some unbelievable, classy people. I'm gonna get a chance this Friday to be on the. I gotta say this the right way. It's called the Money Report, or the Financial. I gotta get the right name. I'm butchering this.
All right, send it to me and I'll put it in text here
Yeah,
at the bottom. The
but I'm
Money
very
Financial
excited.
Report.
On Friday, I'm gonna get a chance to talk about human trafficking because this gentleman wants to help. And I'm so fired up about that. Him and Stephen Ehrlich will be on. And it was really good. You know, the boxing was good. The people were good. The relationships, you met some unbelievable, classy people. So I left there feeling good about where life is. And I'm going to do everything, you know, being around the people I was around and seeing the things I seen, it made me realize I can have more of an impact than I do. And I want to do more. I want to help more. I want to give back more because to lead is to serve, you know, and if you're serving and if you're helping, you're giving back. And I think I need to do that better. But boy, I was so excited about the things that were happening there. And so I'm going to keep pushing and we're going to make some great things happen, just like I know you push all the time. And we're going to change. We can't change it all. I think we all know that, but there's some things in our immediate grasp that we can make a difference with.
I'm going to end it by saying, don't sell yourself short, because I see the work that the Hugh Jackson Foundation does. I know I don't think we don't talk about it enough, but for human trafficking. So you are doing good things, and I'll throw it out there, and you know this already. If there's anything I can do to help, don't hesitate. You let me know. You know I'm always there. So with that, I will thank you for your time as always. Appreciate you.
Thank you.